sometimes it feels like life is merely a simulation and everything will happen around you regardless. So sometimes it gets to the point when you break it down far enough, like what is the point of anything? I have highs and lows just like everybody else, but my sort of lows come from me being pragmatic. I look at the life and then I think about all the experiences you can have or lack thereof. And I just feel like sometimes some things are just entirely meaningless, devoid of any point. Um, so, sometimes I hold myself back merely from a frustration. And again, what is the point? So like, I keep talking about it. I've got 3 manuscripts that I could have published into books this year. I should have made substantial progress on the editing of the first one of the year. But I still haven't done it, and we're getting towards. That's a whole month lost now. I've lost a month. In all honesty, I don't even care. It's quite crazy. Because I look at my work and I'm like, there's 6 exist, so there's 6 books. Do I really care if another one comes out? Not really. Once it comes out, of course, I'd look and go, oh, this is great, and I'd read it and enjoy it, and I'll be proud. It's now 7. But in the overall scheme of things, it's 6 books, 7 books, 10 books. Does it really? It's so irrelevant. Um, So in all honesty, I'm just like distracting myself in different avenues. And sometimes I think, well, this is a waste of life. Stop doing that. So like, we're talking about video games. I've put video games on the back burner. I've actually lost interest significantly. But I recognize they're actually a good distraction from life. Like life's all about a distraction anyway. It doesn't matter where you distract yourself. It's really about just getting through it, isn't it? For the most part. And I think we have significant moments in life where it's important we take specific actions and maybe we interact with certain people. You have moments. And then I think there's certain moments in life where I just don't think it matters what you do, honestly. You could play video games. You could literally just go, you can lay down and sleep most of the time if you want. You can go and sit on a beach. You do what you want. Either way, it's like free time. Do what you want. It's like life has to catch up sometimes, It's almost like the wheel of fortune, like the wheel of fate, has to turn anyway. So all the mechanisms and all the pieces to the puzzle have to come together. And in essence, no matter what you do, the wheel is already moving. So maybe you've already fulfilled something that had to be achieved. You've done that, and now you can keep pushing and pushing and pushing. But either way, the wheel's going to move at the pace that it has to anyway. So you can drive yourself mad. So like I said, I'm looking, thinking, is the next book the missing piece to the puzzle? I don't personally think so. I think it's an important stage of my development and achievements, but piece of a puzzle? Not sure. So, like, me personally, I've been binging TV series. I've got a massive physical collection, but I'm also just enjoying Netflix and Amazon Prime. I'm fluctuating between shows there. At the moment, I'm binging the life out of Lincoln Lawyer. I've never seen it before, and there's like 3 or 4 seasons of this. It says there's a new one coming. I'm like, that's great because this is awesome. I like courtroom dramas. Yeah, so I was watching I started getting into Supernatural before that. I've watched the entirety of Binge the Life Out of Sex Education on Netflix. I'm just chill and relaxed with it, but then I do sit there sometimes and I think, well, there's no point to life sometimes, is there? There isn't really. Come on, let's be honest. It's like, it doesn't matter, does it? If we're just existing to be, it's like, what's the point of existing? So that's what I mean about being in a simulation. That sometimes I just don't think it matters. Honestly, I don't think it matters. So we can get bored, we can get frustrated, but in the end, it makes no difference whether you're bored or excited. It's either way, life continues to move forward, doesn't it? So yeah, this is me being introspective though, and just being a bit, I don't want to say self-defeating, a bit deflated, bit bored with life in general. And like I said in other videos, though, that sometimes, life becomes, it almost feels like a repetition of cycles. And I think that gets boring. So, like, for instance, I put so much effort into opening up new career opportunities. And I know, given the right opportunities, I can thrive. I just need to start earning money from it. And where that money comes from, I've got no idea because it doesn't seem to happen. So, like I know what I do when I'm speaking on camera and I talk about life and I'm other aspects, and I'm good at it, and I know I'd be great given the opportunities, but the opportunities don't happen. So of course you wait for the breakthrough. Does the breakthrough come? No. What can I do about it? Absolutely nothing. Without altering who I am, nothing. I will not be anything other than myself. So I recognize if I become an altered version, fake, then I could easily make money. I could literally do TikTok lives and try and beg people for money. I could do a TikTok shop and start trying to sell shit to people to try to make them hemorrhage money. It might to boost my life. I won't do it. My principles are too high. So there's areas of your life where you can gain if you're missing something, but how much of yourself will you lose to gain it? And that's the conundrum. I won't lose anything to gain. So I just feel like everything should fall into place naturally, organically, and fair. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be the case. So you get, I've put on a lot. I've lost a lot of years to fulfilling my path. Believe me. So I'm at crossroads where I'm having to think about going back into warehousing and do things like that. I need to make money. I want a holiday. I'm looking at a holiday this year. I really feel I need it. I want it. And it's, I have to have the money to be able to afford that. You can't always just keep bashing your head against the wall and hope the stars align. It doesn't seem to happen. So there's that pragmatic approach comes in that, we have to think how much physically we can handle. But I'm just going to have to start pushing my body beyond its limits or do something because, in all honesty, I'm getting bored anyway. It gets quite lonely when you're at home, and I work on book projects. I work on this. Or I binge my TV shows. It's just, sometimes I wake up and I just think, what is the point of today? What is the point of anything? And it's genuine. It's quite pathetic, isn't it? It's quite sad. It's like, you can do a lot or you can do nothing. I'm not even motivated. There's no point. Again, it comes down to that point. There's no point. It makes absolutely no difference. Sometimes it's a case of whether you have or whether you have not. Either way, the day cycles through, doesn't it? And we still end up in tomorrow. I don't know. Of course, it depends who you are at in life. It's going to have a huge bearing. If it was like 10 years ago and my daughter was younger and we're all together and, there's more meaning to life, I think. Once you're on your own, it's like you've done, and you're responsible for self. And there's not many other obligations per se beyond our own external, expectations and maybe what society expects, which I've never cared about. How people project onto me is irrelevant. It's pointless. It's like, what do I want for me? What do I feel I need? When I said, when it comes down to it, basic form, it's like, you don't really need a lot, do you? You don't need a lot. It's just what provides fulfillment, really, and gets us through the day. And that'll be different vices, different things, sometimes interactions with people. But again, like I said, it's nothing more than a simulation in phases, because it makes no difference. Someone could say, oh, you should be doing this or you should be doing that. What difference does it make? Either way, we're going to get to tomorrow. Either way, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and it's going to be a new day, Of course, certain things give us more fulfillment. Sometimes it can open the door. So, I think if you just sit and do nothing with your life entirely, of course, you're going to be devoid of any fulfillment. There's going to be rarely growth and an awful lot of stagnation. But I'm talking about those pockets of windows after you've put all that time and effort and energy into things. You haven't seen the progress. And it's a case of how much more do you keep bashing your head? Because it's exhausting to burn yourself out with no reward. You recognize the potential in it, but potential isn't success. Potential isn't necessarily growth. And potential certainly isn't results. So how much do we just live on a dream? And it's just sometimes you have to reset, I think, and allow yourself time to breathe. And it's not put so much pressure, because that's the other thing as well. The level of pressure we put on ourselves isn't necessarily healthy. So in the past, if I was binging a TV show, I'd feel so lazy for it. And I'm thinking, you got to be working. But what's working got me? Nothing. I'm proud, but it's got, in terms of like resources and things, nothing. Just a burden and frustration and exhaustion. So yeah, okay, of course, life is what we make of it. It's like we all have the same time and same hours in a day. It's up to us what we do with it and all that. But I think sometimes there's a lack of motivation, and like I said, the days still go forward. But yeah, it is what we make of it, though. I think if you do nothing of your life entirely, then you've got no story to tell. I think that's something to say as well. Like, the more you can do in time, the more story you have. And I think the less of waste of life you feel. But sometimes I think some of us, like me in my current form, as sad as it is, I just want to fast forward. I mean, how sad is that? Because once you get into your prime years where you're doing things you love, you're gonna want to hope that time slows down so you can appreciate and it lasts as long as possible. When you're in a place like I'm in, it's like you just want to fast forward. In all honesty, I don't even enjoy waking up. It's sad, isn't it? Like, I don't have the financial resources. I don't have the relationship. I don't have family around me. I just don't have anything that I would really, all the things I would cherish and love, I don't have. So it's like just fast forward to something happens. Fast forward, fast forward, fast forward. Oh, it's that life doesn't fast forward. Oh, okay. Then I'm just gonna have to get up later and I'm just gonna binge this shit. And I'm just gonna try and waste life for a minute because I can't even be asked anymore. Yeah, and that's my days ain't always like this. Sometimes I'm more proactive and I'm more ambitious and I feel more fulfilled. But sometimes I just think, what's the point? Makes no difference to anything what you do. Whether you just sit, do nothing, whether you just go to sleep. Who cares? Who cares really? Um, yeah, I think when life gets like that, it gets a bit demoralizing. But like I said, that's where I'm up to now. I feel like I don't want to keep repeating life though. So I'm not void of hard work. You can see by the books I've done. You don't just magically appear. You have to work hard for that. The warehouse jobs I've had in the past, I can operate most forklifts. I have a huge background in it all, but it's kind of like, what's the point? It's not what I want to do. It's like you turn up to a job interview and they say, "Where do you see yourself?" Not here. It's like, then what are you doing here? I want some money. It's like, I don't like lying. I'm not going to sit and go, I see my future here in 10 years. I'd love to be still operating a forklift, or I'd love to be I'd love to be a supervisor. I couldn't give a shit. I don't care. It's crap. It's just, it pays the bills. It's nothing more than that. If that was my fulfillment and I wouldn't have wrote my books, I see my future far away from doing all that because I want to put my brain to use rather than my body. And I think that's the difference. Some people rather just be physically active. Some people use their mind. I've done jobs where it's more about your body and it's kind of hurt my back. Now I'm thinking my mind's sharper. I'd rather put my mind to use. Let's find a career doing this. But those sort of jobs, it's hard to turn into a vocation. It's hard to turn into success where you can actually earn some money from it. So sometimes we've got to be a bit more realistic with ourselves and say, look, you've put your time into that. You want this, you want that. You're going to have to go and do something else for the time being then. And it's like, I don't know what I want anymore. In all honesty, like I said, you do these things and it can have a negative consequence, but also it can give you this. But then it's like, is it worth the suffering for that? It's all a thing, isn't it? Like, I want my holiday. I really want a break, but I've got to destroy myself to get the holiday. Do I care enough about the holiday this year or not? I don't know what I want. Like I said, I don't even want to wake up. I'm fed up. That's just being transparent as hell. I'm so fed up at the moment. I've worked my ass off to change my life, and it hasn't changed. It hasn't changed. It just feels like the door doesn't open, and I got to keep going through the same old doors, and I don't want to keep walking through the same old doors. It's not exciting to me. It doesn't fulfill me. It just frustrates me even more. Um, so yeah, I have answers to a lot of things, but sometimes I think we have to be realistic with ourselves as well. So this section of my life, this what is the point, is a huge difference to all the books I've wrote. And I think it's going to be really important in a future book where I talk about this, because I think there is a point in life where it can feel incredibly stagnant while we wait for, I think, things to come together. Like I said, everything's like the cog of change, the mechanism of change. It's not all about like when we're ready, it's when everything aligns and ready. So you can be ready well ahead of time. It doesn't mean the job opportunity exists yet. It doesn't mean the person you're going to meet is available yet. It doesn't mean you're going to, all these opportunities align yet. It's like that's got to happen when it's supposed to happen. And best thing we can do is always be ready in anticipation. But I think what we do in the meantime, it really doesn't matter as long as it helps us with our sanity. So if you was to sort of play video games time like over and over again, I don't think it really matters in certain phases as long as it's not all you do ever. So if it helps you heal, helps you transition through a phase, there's nothing wrong with it. If it helps keep you sane, there's nothing wrong. So binging a TV show in periods, there's nothing wrong with that if it helps keep your mind on point. But I don't think I'm the only one that really seeks change in life, and frustrating when it doesn't happen. Um, yeah, like I said, I'm at that. I think it's weird, isn't it? I think it's like almost like I'm probably in the middle of a midlife crisis, and you don't even realize it. I'm transitioning from midlife crisis to just calling it "What's the point?" But I think it's probably the same thing. I never thought I'd go through a midlife crisis, but it is a case of you're at that precipice of change where you can either experience new things you've never had before, or you just keep repeating cycles that are boring. Yeah, I think that's probably where we're at. Actually, it is probably a midlife crisis in the sense of Is this all life is? You know what I mean? You've had, I think at this point in life, most people would have experienced, like at 42 nearly, um, you've already experienced most of what life has to offer you. Love, heartbreak, loss, opportunities, you know, up and down, yo-yo, chaos. Um, do you really want to do it again? Live life all over again in the same way, really? Yeah. So, like I say, every day I'm frustrated, but I just take the edge off and just put the I just distract my mind. In all honesty, that's literally what I do. All I'm interested in at the moment is distract my mind, get through the day, and we'll distract my mind tomorrow too. We'll get through the day, and we'll just keep this pattern going until maybe a miracle happens, and you've got something to be excited about.